Stop.
For UK politicians to head to Washington for, or is the DCMS committee getting a bit overexcited about a term that's had its day? With me in the studio is the right-wing campaigner and best-selling author Ann Coulter, one of the very few people Donald Trump actually follows on Twitter. And joining from LA is the writer Laurie Penny. Good evening to you both. First of all, Ann Coulter, does fake news damage society?
Yes, that's why Donald Trump keeps attacking it. I mean, we live in democracies. People have to be informed. And for people at allegedly serious networks to be putting out lies about it. I mean, we went through, this happened long before Trump, but all the fake rape cases. Ferguson ripped the country apart. The alleged, shooting of an unarmed black man. And once Trump came along, it's been through the roof.
But if you're in a situation where you're in an election campaign and a website which gets hits from nearly 800,000 people says that members of Hillary Clinton's campaign were involved in a satanic cult, that matters, doesn't it? Or does it not? Should the tech giants be actually filtering this stuff?
No, the internet is the only place people can get the truth. Maybe not from the website you just cited, but 800,000 viewers. Hillary spent $1 billion. This idea that, bots putting likes on Facebook swung the election is so insane. That's fake news.
So listen, you believe that things like CNN, ABC, NBC actually don't double source stories and put out fake news?
It's worse than that. They are intentionally putting out fake news. The claim that Donald Trump admitted to groping a woman's, blank is a lie. He says on the tape, and they edit the tape to lie about it.
Laurie
they
Penny,
let you do it. You could win that as a summary judgment case in court, and they edit that part out of the quote.
Laurie Penny, is it damaging to have not only fake news, but actually the idea that it doesn't necessarily matter? Laurie Penny.
Well, you've hit on something quite important there, Kirsty. The distinction between censorship and what's going on now is important because, look, fake news, what we've come to call fake news, which is actually lies, the point of that is not just to spread lies, it's to make people unsure of the distinction between what is true and what is false. And when people can't, to erode trust in the news media, which is what Ms. Coulter is trying to do right now, erode trust in honest journalistic networks. And look, when people cannot trust their media, they would often prefer to believe convenient lies to hard truths. But, there are still people out there who believe in the power of honest journalism, who believe in the power of, in real democracy, which involves people being really informed. And there are people out there who believe that people in power shouldn't just be allowed to dictate what is true and what is false. And, some of those people, Ms. Coulter, are sitting around you in the studio right now. There are people who are working in the BBC studio, and some of those people are watching at home, people who believe that there is a distinction between truth and falsehood, and that distinction matters. I would encourage you,
well, let me just, Ann Coulter, you're in a situation where if you're saying that the mainstream news networks regularly pile out fake news, aren't you just aiding the despots who say, it's all about fake news from CNN, even the BBC, so therefore we won't believe it? You are aiding people by undermining the probity of the mainstream media.
No, I'm actually citing lies that have been put out. It doesn't mean you don't believe everything, although that's where I think people would be erring. I mean, I do agree with your guest that the issue is censorship. Who's deciding? I've just listed, including some categories of lies, 20 lies that have been and continue to be put out by the media. The claim that Donald Trump mocked a disabled man, not only was that a lie, but the Washington Post knew it was a lie because the video proving that was a lie, they took down from their webpage. And your only lie is some website said Hillary's part of a satanic cult. Okay, how about she defended a rapist, her husband?
No, hang on. It does matter if a lie is told. So, but
of course
satanic
it does.
Cult, it really matters.
May I come in here?
It matters
yes,
if
Laurie
a lie
Penny.
is told about Donald Trump.
Are you finished?
Satanic cult
doesn't
strike me as
Laurie
much of a
Penny.
lie.
Ms. Coulter, are you finished?
Laurie Penny.
Are you finished? May I speak? Thank you very much.
Just
so the word salad,
seconds.
the word salad that you've just heard come out of Ms. Coulter's mouth is exactly what we're talking about. What she wants to do is not to make a distinction between what is true, what is not true. It's just to confuse people and make it easier for people in power with no scruples to just decide what is true and what is false. And now Ms. Coulter is a troll with no credibility, and so is her president. But we should not take this as, the basis on which we can decide what is true and what is false.
But what do you actually do, Laurie Penny? Because once you start essentially filtering or censoring, then who are the deciders? I mean, there's other things. There's no things necessarily as absolute truth. There's shades of truth, aren't there? And there are nuances of truth.
Well, that's why we have journalism. And journalism, as you know, Kirsty, you've worked at the BBC for a long time. Everybody around you in the studio has worked at the BBC for a long time. Journalism is still a thing that exists and matters, and there should be a distintion made between what is journalism and what is
let's say about checking on things, Ann Coulter, because we already had the situation where you retweeted what purported to be a Muslim man attacking a young Dutch man. You retweeted it, and then you've got 1.8 million. Donald Trump retweeted it, and you didn't even know where it came from. You tweeted it without checking it. And you're a person that actually, you're a polemicist, you're somebody that's in the public eye. You regret that now?
No, I've seen no proof that it is untrue, point one. Point two, your question is the correct one. Who is deciding what's true here? Again, I keep citing things...
It wasn't true,
Wait a second. I keep citing things that are provably false.
It wasn't true, though.
Your guest says... journalists will decide. Well, Walter Duranty said that there were no Ukrainian famines. Our country was roiled by the Ferguson shooting for a year. That turned out to be the biggest lie finally admitted by the media.
That's not true.
Thank you both very much.
Deciding?
DC conservatives no longer feel like even the Republicans in DC represent them anymore. Paul Ryan, John McCain, all of these guys. We're seeing just overwhelming turnout for Trump because he has enthusiasm behind his campaign, something Hillary Clinton did not have. Obama in 2008 and 2012, he relied on high turnout because he really got people excited. Hillary Clinton just represents more of the same, and she just did not excite those different demographics like the black vote, the millennial vote, all of these groups.
We had Linda Sarsour here a few moments ago. She's become a leading voice for speaking out for Muslim women. She said her daughter is at home tonight in tears because she's scared of what a Trump presidency could mean for her. How would you respond?
Question in that?
Well, there is a question in that. How would you respond to that if there are children tonight scared of what a Trump presidency might mean for them?
Stop watching the media.
Donald Trump put out a very clear message about what could happen in terms of allowing Muslims into this country.
Is she a terrorist? Then she should be afraid. If not, I don't think she has much to worry
Well, I think that's an extraordinary thing to say. I mean, Donald Trump has made a very clear message, which some parts of the Muslim electorate here have taken extremely badly, and it's not at all surprising, is it?
It's not surprising watching the media. But there's 7 billion people in the world. No one has a right.
Well, did Donald Trump say it, or didn't he?
As I was saying, no one has a right to move to America. If immigrants are coming here, and many of blowing us up and telling us their religion teaches us that, yeah, of course there's going to be extra vetting for Muslim immigrants. But for a Muslim who's already here, a little girl to be crying about what Trump will do about her, that's because the media lies to the American people about what Trump has said.
So it's all something cooked up by the media and nothing to do with what Donald Trump has said.
Fool the American people tonight. Ha!
Well, it's a certain section of the American people, isn't it? But it's very clear that the votes have come from a very clear section of the American electorate.
Ones who aren't fooled.
Yeah, Trump is doing...
Well, women, Latinos.
Trump is doing better with Latinos than they thought he would do. He's doing better with women than they thought he would do. From day one, the media has underestimated Trump with every single group. I mean, even in Florida, he overperformed with Latinos. Latinos who are in this country, those are hardworking folks. They don't want people coming in unlawfully either. So this stereotype that is broadcast by the media that all Latinos are voting for Hillary Clinton is just downright wrong. And the fact that that girl is at home crying, like Ann said, really speaks to the media, the lies, and the fear-mongering that they are spreading.
What can we expect from a Trump presidency if indeed he gets the prize that he's been longing for tonight?
more accountable government, smaller government, spending will be reined in, and will be kept more safe because we will see a secure border. I think that's the most important thing. And I think people will be surprised that a Trump presidency will be very inclusive to all Americans and making us stronger together. And I really believe that.
Why would people believe that when we've seen an election that has divided this country in a way that it hasn't been divided before?
For one thing, people say that every election. It has not been coming from Donald Trump's camp. It has come from endless slanderous attacks from the media, from his own party, from the other party. Trump has never attacked Hillary Clinton supporters. He's reached out to Bernie Sanders supporters. It's Hillary who referred to his supporters as deplorables, referred to Bernie Sanders supporters as living in their parents' basement. He has always been inclusive, even the Republicans who attacked him in the primaries and betrayed their pledge to support him. He invited them to speak at his rally. He reached out to them. He has constantly reached out, and he's had his hand bitten off.
What about accusing some Mexicans of being rapists as coming in here? What about calling women dogs and pigs? Is it reaching out to the parts of the electorate?